That distinct exhaust note that sounds like a helicopter flying in has its own fan base. Royal Enfield has been one of the longest continuously produced bikes in the world. Started in 1901, the company has a rich history behind it. From being just 6 months away from going bankrupt to being one of the most successful and recognized motorcycle brand in India, with enthusiasts all over the world and rapid growth in popularity in Europe and America, Royal Enfield has a story worth listening to.
Reviewing this bike is like reviewing a painting. A purposeful artist will appreciate it for its finesse and the moods that it exudes, while a mere painter will be left analyzing it for its colors, the number of coatings, and maybe even the size of the painting.
In 1891, Albert Eddy and Robert Smith started a needle manufacturing company in Redditch, England, and named it Eddy Manufacturing. After some time, this company gets a contract from the Royal Arms factory to make bicycles. When the cycles were ready, they named it Royal Enfield.
In the 1950s, the British motorcycle industry was at its peak. Royal Enfield of Redditch was just one of many firms in the Midlands that had started out building bicycles.
In 1901, Royal Enfield made their first motorbike, and these bikes were reliable, so the company was making a lot of money. The most popular Royal Enfield, the Bullet, was launched in 1932. And the bike sold well, so they got orders from the British Crown to build the motorcycles for World War II. The bike's frame had a parachute attached to it, so it could be dropped into the battlefield. The British Army had ordered 4,000 motorbikes from Royal Enfield, and they had two models of bikes, one with a sidecar attached to it to carry dead and injured soldiers off the battlefield, the other version with a sidecar and a machine gun on it. Even the Russian government ordered Royal Enfield bikes, increasing its demand. But after the war, the demand for the bike dropped. In 1948, the model G2 was launched, which inspired the design of the Royal Enfield Classic, which was launched in 2008. Going back to 1948, after the G2 was launched in Britain, in 1949, K.R. Sundaram launched a company in India called Madras Motors, which aimed to import British motorcycles to India. The Indian government chose the Royal Enfield bikes, and Madras Motors got a license to sell Royal Enfield motorcycles in India. In 1954, Indian Army ordered 800 motorcycles from Royal Enfield for border patrolling, which was a bulk order to the Redditch factory. The next year, in 1955, the Redditch factory started an assembling unit with Madras Motors in India, establishing Royal Enfield India. In 1967, the British factory shut down, so India bought all the rights to manufacture the bike in India itself. But the management from then on to 1980s accumulated a lot of debt for the company, and with the competition from Japanese motorcycles, especially the CD100, the demand for Bullet dropped drastically. In 1994, Eicher Group bought Royal Enfield hoping to change the situation, but things didn't go as they planned. After buying the company, they still couldn't bring back the popularity of the Bullet, and in the year 2000, Eicher Group went in a loss, and the company's board decided to sell off or shut down the Royal Enfield division. That's when Siddharth Lals, the CEO's son, stepped in and said that he will handle the division and bring it back to profit. He became the division head. He shut down the new Enfield factory in Jaipur and stopped the dealer discounts, which was costing the company a fortune. Siddharth wanted to target a young market, 18 to 35 years old, so he launched the 350cc Bullet Electra in 2001 in different colors, and in 2002 he launched the Thunderbird for more mature riders to cruise long distance. The positioning of gear and brakes were changed to how regular motorcycles had it. The older Enfields had a right side gear which made it difficult to ride, so that was changed. Eventually, more innovations were made, such as improving the quality of the bikes, as the reason people didn't buy a Bullet was not the cost of the bike, but the cost of maintaining it. The bike leaked oil, and sometimes the engine would get choked up, and most of the bike was built like an ancient bomb timer, with no innovation made at all. All this was due to faulty manufacturing, which Siddharth gave attention to. In 2008-09, they launched Royal Enfield Classic, and global expansion continued. In 2013, they launched the Cafe Racer styled Continental GT535. Year on year, the sales of the bike only went up. They launched the Himalayan in 2016, an adventure motorcycle, and in 2017, they launched the 650 twin-cylinder Royal Enfield Interceptor and a new Continental GT, with a much more refined engine on par with internationally popular bikes, considering the price. In 2020, the Interceptor was one of the most sold bikes in UK, shooting Royal Enfield to international fame and success. Siddharth Lals' management changed the fate of Royal Enfield from almost shutting down to not only still operating, but thriving.